親父に。
俺と付き合ってくれ。
お前がそう来るなら。
Welcome back to Tomo-chan. Last time, after winning the dodgeball tournament, Junichiro reflects on how much he admires Tomo. As Junichiro reminisces, he goes back to the time when he first encountered Tomo. It was when his family had just relocated from Tokyo, and he was engrossed in playing video games. Suddenly, Tomo bounded over the wall to introduce herself to her new neighbor and joins in on the gaming fun. Unfortunately, her excitement led to her inadvertently breaking his handheld console in two. In response, Tomo and her parents expressed their sincere apologies to Junichiro. Although Junichiro's replacement console was later snatched away by some bullies, Tomo fearlessly confronted them and managed to retrieve it. Despite this, Junichiro insisted that Tomo should keep the handheld and pledged to take it back only when he demonstrated that he was strong enough to stand up for himself and Tomo. Fast forward to the present, and Tomo still enjoys playing with the same handheld console while pondering when Junichiro might finally reclaim it. Tomo and her friends venture to the beach, hoping to have a good time. Once they arrive, Tomo dons a swimsuit in an attempt to get closer to Junichiro. Despite his efforts to protect her from a persistent suitor, Junichiro hesitates to confirm their relationship. Misuzu offers words of encouragement, advising Tomo to spend more time with Junichiro to further develop their bond. As they ride the train back home, Misuzu reflects on the success of her plan. Before we continue, big shout out to Preston O'Hara, who commented, "Now that's an intro," on our domestic girlfriend video. Shout out to you for the feedback, thank you. Misuzu challenges Tomo to attend the upcoming fireworks festival with Junichiro. Nervously, Tomo asks him to go with her, to which he agrees. While Misuzu, Carol, and Kosuke hang out, Tomo manages to win all the prizes in a shooting game. The operator alerts all the stall managers, sending them a picture of Tomo, who is now unrecognizable in a yukata. Junichiro takes Tomo to a special spot to watch the fireworks, and she contemplates confessing to him once again. However, Junichiro recalls Tomo's previous confession and convinces himself that she was not being serious. Sometime later, a gang targets Misuzu in order to get back at Tomo. Initially, her demonic aura scares them off. However, she tells the gang that Carol is not her friend and to spare her. This upsets Carol, who decides to take matters into her own hands by tasing the gang leader. This leads to a chase scene where Misuzu, Junichiro, and Tomo must hide from the gang. While in hiding, Misuzu calls Junichiro for backup. Tomo follows and together they defeat the gang. After the fight, Misuzu apologizes to Carol for what happened. Just when they thought it was over, Kosuke arrives on the scene. He sees Carol in her underwear while changing and misinterprets the situation. Misuzu decides to take matters into her own hands, once again by blackmailing the gang into becoming their bodyguards. They reluctantly agree after learning that Tomo is Goro's daughter. The following day, Junichiro joyfully holds Tomo's hand as they walk to school together, which delights her. A flashback unveils the moment Kosuke first met and became enamored with Carol. In the present, Kosuke enrolls in Goro's dojo and becomes overwhelmed. Despite this, he reveals to Tomo that he entered the dojo to become stronger for Carol's sake. The following day, Carol mistakenly believes that Kosuke is interested in Tomo, prompting her to make him jealous by going into Junichiro's house. This move by Carol works, and Kosuke finally reveals his love for her to Misuzu, explaining that he has been unable to do so due to never having seen her vulnerable. Misuzu, in an effort to help Kosuke, makes some painful comments about his interest in Carol to her, causing Carol to flee the school, crying. Misuzu soon realizes her mistake and sends Kosuke to Carol's home to make amends. There, he tells Carol about Misuzu's lie and confesses his love for her. Delighted, Carol accepts his confession, and her mother trusts Kosuke with her daughter after he promises not to change her. The next day, Carol gets back at Misuzu by scaring her. Tomo and Junichiro are both eager and enthusiastic to participate in their school's upcoming marathon. They easily outpace their classmates as they run, but Tomo suddenly collapses from exhaustion on her way back. It turns out that she had been running for hours the night before as well. Despite this setback, Junichiro carries Tomo on his back to the school nurse, who suggests that Tomo take advantage of this opportunity to show her vulnerable side to Junichiro. Eventually, Tomo persuades Junichiro to carry her once more so that her mother can take her to the hospital. Later, when Junichiro visits Tomo, she returns a handheld device to him that he had given her years ago, saying that he has finally caught up to her in terms of physical prowess. As Junichiro reminisces about his middle school days, he suddenly flashes back to his relationship with both Tomo and Misuzu. In the present, Tomo has landed a part-time job at a ramen shop owned by Tatsumi's family. Misuzu also works there as a waitress, while Karo plays a mascot. One day, as they work, Junichiro unexpectedly visits the shop, leaving Tomo and Misuzu in shock. However, Junichiro's compliments raise Tomo's spirits. As the weekend comes to an end, the trio receives extra pay for their exceptional work. With her newfound earnings, Tomo decides to buy Junichiro a birthday present and some cake. Junichiro suggests that they go to Tomo's house to enjoy the treats together. Tomo approaches Misuzu seeking counsel on how to become closer to Junichiro. In response, Misuzu devises a plan to set a trap that will cause Junichiro to stumble and have Tomo save him. Despite Misuzu's intentions, Junichiro manages to avoid the trap and instead falls into Carol. Realizing her mistake, Misuzu begins to feel remorseful and takes multiple sick days. Wanting to make amends, Tomo takes the initiative and pays Misuzu a visit at her home. There, Tomo presents Misuzu with a script for their upcoming class play, Cinderella. However, when Misuzu shows up the next day, she is upset to discover that Carol had cast her as the lead without her knowledge. Meanwhile, Tomo was given the role of the prince, Carol as the evil stepmother, and Junichiro as a tree. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day: what is the best romance anime? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now, back to the recap. During the play, Misuzu enjoys her performance, especially when she's able to get close to Tomo. Following the festival, Junichiro and Tomo dance together by the bonfire, and he strongly hints that he likes her. However, Tomo runs away, and in the days that follow, she hangs out with him as usual, but becomes flustered whenever he brings up the subject of his feelings. At school, Junichiro confides in Kosuke about his love for Tomo, and Kosuke encourages him to confess. Before doing so, Junichiro apologizes to Misuzu and seeks her advice. She cheers him on instead and lies, telling him she has never been in love before. Junichiro then calls Tomo to the roof, where he reiterates his feelings. This causes Tomo to punch him for being oblivious to the effort she has made for him. Despite the punch, Junichiro remains steadfast, which makes Tomo embarrassed and runs away again. She seeks help from Misuzu and Carol, and Misuzu tearfully encourages her to pursue Junichiro since their feelings are mutual. Eventually, Tomo accepts Junichiro's confession while they're walking home, and they agree to continue being as close as before, much to Junichiro's delight. They seal their agreement on the staircase of the temple. Misuzu and Carol suggest that Tomo take Junichiro to a romantic movie on Christmas to fluster him. At the theater, they witness a couple in the movie engaging in more than just kissing, leaving Tomo feeling embarrassed. Following the movie, they exchange Christmas gifts, and Tomo decides to invite herself over to Junichiro's house. There, a long and uncomfortable silence ensues until Tomo finally confronts Junichiro about her desire to kiss him. However, he reveals that he feels uncomfortable doing so, as he had asked her parents for permission to date her but was refused unless he defeated Goro in combat. As the new year begins, they return to school, where Misuzu and Carol inquire about Tomo's absence. Tomo explains what occurred between her and Junichiro, while Junichiro challenges Goro to a fight. During karate training, Tomo realizes that Junichiro needs her support, prompting her to rush to his side. Seeing her, an injured Junichiro summons the strength to land a powerful punch on Goro, breaking his nose and winning the match. After the fight, he formally asks Tomo to be his girlfriend, to which she responds by kissing him. What a wholesome way to end off the first season of Tomo-chan. Go check out our other videos and don't forget to like and subscribe.